everyone. Hope you've enjoyed your first week back in this term, obviously, and enjoyed the course so far. I wanted to thank everyone for obliging me with the fun introduction section that we had. I figure everyone has gotten to know each other pretty well, so we didn't have to continue to repost the same intro over and over and over. But just reading kind of the bird versus fish and why everyone thought they would want to be a bird versus a fish, I thought was fun. I was going to ask everyone what Muppet character they would want to be, but I wasn't sure everybody was old enough to have ever watched the Muppet Show. So then I thought, well, I'll avoid the Muppets, but I'll have to come up with some other new ones for future courses in the grad program. Can't really do it with the undergrads because we have folks that come in from other majors as well. But with you guys, it's easy to do because it's the same group over and over. Thank you for obliging me that, and I thought that was fun. It was neat to read what everyone had to say. I'll have to come up with some other new ones as well. This first week we really just started to scratch the surface of population health, care coordination, and kind of how this is evolving. Population health is really an evolving field, and specifically how population health, which it's really a term that has really come about maybe in the last 15, 20 years tops, but how that's moved really from the realm of public health to our side. And I say our side because the bulk of us are really focused on the healthcare, traditional healthcare sector, meaning the provision of health services, the payer side, kind of the more traditional healthcare side, as opposed to the public health side. Most folks that want to do public health will go out and seek a master's in public health. So most of us are focused on the provision of healthcare services or the something to do with that, the payer sector, the vendor sector, etc. So this week we talked a little bit about how those two meet. So this course will look at population health. We'll look at epidemiology, epidemiological data. We'll start looking at that really this week in week 2. But this past week we looked at kind of the intersection of population health and public health, how the two come together, those important data points, and we'll look at them more in a second. But those important, all of those services, public health services, that really are now no different than the types of things. In some cases they are because they're policy driven, but the majority of them are really no different than the kinds of things that we're trying to do in the healthcare sector to make our patients well, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. But a lot of that can be driven by data, epidemiological data, and that's what we'll dig into in this coming week, in week 2, but in some future weeks too. We'll take a look at studies. How can epidemiological studies help to drive population health, and how can overall public health data help our cause, help our side of the cause, in making people more healthy overall. So this week in particular, we had a couple of things that we did. We had a discussion board, which I'll talk about in a second. We also had an assignment, and the assignment was what I was really looking to get at, and we'll actually redo this assignment much later in the term. But what I really wanted was your thoughts on population health right now. So from what you know right now, based on maybe the little bit of reading that we've done, you had a couple of short YouTube videos, but what are your thoughts on population health? What do you know about it right now? So it's kind of like a pretest almost, but what are your thoughts on population health? And then after we get through our work for the term, we're going to take a look at that again and see how your thoughts have changed maybe, or how your vision has grown of population health. Um, so that was our one assignment, and I'll get some feedback to you this week on that written assignment. But our discussion board this week was really interesting because what we wanted to look at was really kind of the intersection of things like the Healthy People Project. It was 2010, then it was 2020 as it progressed, and I'm going to flip my slide here if I can, and the 10 essential public health services, which we had in our textbook but have replicated here on this slide, and in the healthcare industry. So the traditional, what has always been kind of a fee-for-service healthcare industry. How can our industry make use of this, and really how are we progressing more towards these things? And a lot of great comments came out. I mean, it's a few of the things that really hit home were, we've always been an industry where that secondary, tertiary prevention was, or secondary and tertiary elements of our um, those prevention strategies were really what we're focused on. So if a patient was ill, and we were doing that treatment, or if they were, we were trying to prevent them from becoming more ill, or avoiding additional illnesses. However, we were never focused on primary prevention. That has never been our main focus in our fee-for-service care industry. That just has never, up until recently, it's just never been our focus. And with the change um, from our previous volume-based industry to our shift to value, that shift has occurred, and we really are moving to more of a primary prevention um, type situation where we are really trying to focus more on wellness, getting the patient well, but then keeping them well, and even when our patients are healthy. So it's not that secondary, tertiary prevention. It's also primary prevention. When that patient is healthy, let's keep them healthy. Let's get them in for screenings. Let's make sure they're eating healthfully. Let's make sure they're not smoking. Let's check out all those risk factors and make sure if they have any risk factors, that we're doing everything that we can to eliminate that risk or decrease that risk. So, and in that instance, of all of those things occurring, then we'll also, and we'll talk more about care coordination throughout this course, but we'll use care coordination to share that information with other care providers throughout that person's team. So it's about sharing that info and making it a, we're not going to hoard the information within it's not helpful. So if the primary care doctor has all that info, but doesn't share it with the other people within that patient's care team. So it's a team effort throughout that patient's care team to be able to increase the health of that patient, and then hopefully overall care population of everyone. Some really neat things that came out in our discussion are some of like the All of Us. I think Cheryl was the one that had mentioned the All of Us project, NIH grant, huge grant. It's kind of scary to think that they are going to gather that much data on 1 million people, but I had seen that a while back. There's an organization in New York that's taking part, and obviously UPMC is, I think it's UPMC is taking part as well. But some really neat data is going to come out of that, and it can be scary from a Big Brother perspective, but really really amazing precision medicine data can come out of that. And I almost think Geisinger was involved in the original pilot. Some really neat data. Some folks from kind of the local area here were already involved, and very neat stuff coming out of that. So, there's a lot to be learned from data. We're going to talk a lot more about data this upcoming week. So I think that's probably it. But I think the key is that a lot of these things here on this, um, within these health services, monitoring, diagnose, investigating, inform, educate, using those partnerships, provide care, assuring. None of these things are things that can't be done in the traditional healthcare setting, in public health. And we need to work together to ensure the health of the population. We always think about population health as, in the healthcare setting, a lot of times, oh, that's my population. It's the population of the people that I take care of. Well, not necessarily. We need to start thinking wider. We need to think about the whole community, and we can partner with our public health friends, and mobilize these community partnerships and work together. And I know that there it's difficult here in the Western Pennsylvania area. There's a lack of community partnership in a lot of areas, and hopefully we can get to a point where we get past some of that. But especially with sharing of data and that kind of stuff. But I think once we get past some of those things, we will be able to truly improve the health of the population here in this area. So, any questions on any of the info we've gone over this week, or questions on tasks for week 2, please let me know. And I look forward to another interesting discussion this week in the discussion boards. Thanks so much.